Hello everyone, I am meeting you again after doing about 7 lessons on grammar in Sinhala because I was thinking if someone wants to know a little bit about the methodology I use in this program. I've been using literature to give some basic grammar points across. One of the reasons, and I referred to this earlier in my first introductory talks, one of the reasons I'm doing it is that I realized that just because an adult doesn't understand English, we really should not assume he or she cannot respond to good literature. Because in my experience at Jayawardhanapura, I realized many adults immediately reacted to something beautiful. They in fact could make it their own when they were encouraged to speak after that. And from a long time I was thinking it's such a pity that traditionally we restrict English poetry or English literature to English departments, thinking that the others will not understand. But if you pick the correct poem, you can use those as examples for grammar models, and they will respond very well, and I speak from experience. And that is what I have been doing in my Sinhala lessons. So I thought I'll have a kind of a teacher's guide in the middle here to explain how I did it and to show you 2 poems that I used. It's up to you. You can completely change according to your taste and what you think is suitable according to your context. My first 7 lessons in Sinhala, I kind of covered the basic sentence structure because I feel if you are teaching adults, it might help them to have like a very sketchy idea of what a sentence is. So I'm dealing with the syntax level here, and once you deal with syntax you can go up to pragmatics or down to morphology, that's okay, but it helps them to have an idea of what a sentence is. And I use 2 poems to actually explain this to them. I don't know whether you watch this in Sinhala, but if you're watching it in English, I'm just going to put the 2 poems up on the screen for you. The first one was Do Not Stand at My Grave and Weep. That was by Mary Elizabeth Fry. I use this. Which I really love as a poem because I actually got into it by saying, you can use the be verb to say very mundane things like I'm a student, I'm a teacher. It's very mundane. And when you are dealing with adults, I'm pretty sure it's boring for them because they've done 13 years of I am, business, and they come here and we tell them again. And I tell them, there are other ways of using I am. For example, this poem is full of metaphors. It's a beautiful poem where I'm sure you know it, where they say, do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am the 1,000 winds that blow. Like, don't cry at my grave because now after I am dead, I have changed myself into the atmosphere, the environment. So if you see anything beautiful, I am there. So like that, then I talk about figurative and literal language. And I tell literal would be, I am a student. But to say, I am the 1,000 winds that blow, I am the diamond glints on snow, that's figurative language, and please feel free to use it. Anyone can. I mean, you do not have to be a proficient, completely fluent speaker to have the right to use this kind of language. So tell them and give them an exercise saying, give us 5 literal subjects describing your mother. Give us 5 figurative sentences, like give us 5 literal sentences describing your mother. Give us 5 figurative sentences describing your mother. And they're very quick to do it. My mother is a housewife. Common thing. My mother is the sun in my world. My mother is the sun in my world. Those things are very, their imagination is ignited. And that's important. It's important that you give some passion, some fire to work with, even in a very, very basic English class. And poetry can do that. So this Do Not Stand at My Grave and Weep, if you wish to see the lessons I did in Sinhala, and I've given the Sinhala translation as well, but if you are doing it in Tamil, please do translate the poem into Tamil as well if you want to show the beauty of the poem completely in their own language. I use this for actually about 6 lessons. I use this to show how to ask for something, or to how to command the imperative, do not stand at my grave and weep. I used it for that. Then I used it for the be verb, like I just told you, how to explain mundane things in a literal way, or how to explain in a very beautiful, very metaphoric way. And I spoke about metaphor simile within that context. I spoke about figurative language within that context. Then I used this to talk about the kinds of sentences, because it has the imperative and it has the declarative, and then I said there is interrogative, which is actually the politer way of giving commands, and the fourth kind of sentence, which is the exclamatory. It's not there, but it doesn't have, the whole poem doesn't have to have everything that you are teaching, but the exclamatory and the interrogative you can explain outside the poem. And I also used this to talk about the parts of speech. My last lesson was about the parts of speech, and very easy. You take the poem and you tell them, okay, what's a noun, what's a verb, where does this go, these are the prepositions, things like that. So you're actually teaching the same things you would do in a normal language class, but you're using a poem to do so. And then I was thinking to kind of wrap up the first part, like the basics, what you need to know about a basic sentence. It's also important that they know about the subject, verb, object, adverbial, patterns. And for that, I did not find this very easy, and I used a different one. I used a poem called Light by William Booth-Lynn. Which was, again, this is the one, and I used a Sinhala translation as well. You could do it to another language that you're using, and I used that to come from, a natural progression from the be verb I am, is to say I have, like I have a brother. And I spoke about have verb in the context of possession. I spoke about the thing with have verb is you can also use it for I am having lunch, and I spoke a little bit about that. And then I used this poem, I hope you write it down if you're interested, to talk about subject, verb, object. The night has 1,000 eyes, subject, verb, object, or just SV pattern. The die is a very convenient verb to show the intransitive verb. So, and then you can show the night has 1,000 eyes, but SVOA is also here, SVA is also here, but the light of the bright world dies with the dying sun. So that is SVA. These patterns come in this small poem. There is no SVOA here, but then you can use it as an outside example. So these were my basic lesson. It was my lesson plan to show students what the most foundational knowledge you can have to know what a sentence is. And also I keep insisting, please don't go and try and memorize this subject predicate business. Subject is what, who does it. Predicate is everything with the verb and everything that is connected with the doing of it. You don't have to learn this, because one thing that our students, when they get serious words, they get really excited and they try to memorize things which are not of use if they are going to actually use the language. None of this matters if they know how to speak it properly. But if you are dealing with adults and they would like to have an idea of the structure, please go ahead and use some poetry, use some short stories. If you are dealing with art students especially, everything I say is geared to basic knowledge, not specific medical, law, legal knowledge. My lessons in this YouTube series I'm doing for my university is mainly for art students. But even someone who's hoping to do science or law will not lose by learning the basics of language, sentence structure. And I put this lesson in the middle of my grammar lessons in English, because in case you're interested in this field and you're a teacher, you might learn something or you might not agree. But if you do agree, this kind of teacher guidance program in the middle of the grammar lessons might be helpful. Thank you very much.